It was right out in the narthex of the church. That's where this priest put it. Had a list up of everybody in the church that pledged. So you could see it right when you came in the front door. And he took it a step further. The name of the person that pledged, ... and the amount of the pledge. Right there for everybody to see. And I think that priest probably thought that was really effective stewardship. But thinking on that, and this was back in Tennessee, and people did give a lot of money, I think that was more like stewardship by extortion. And it was a stewardship based on pride. Hey, look at me, I'm at the top of the list. Or humiliation, walking in with your head down because, well, my number was really down there. Stewardship by extortion really perverts the meaning of what stewardship is. No doubt this guy would have loved this gospel too. And he would have mistaken the hyperbole for a literal teaching. First of all, if this poor widow put in all that she had to live on, what's going to happen to her? Unless she has a community around her that can support her, she's obviously going to starve to death. Jesus is speaking in hyperbole to make a point. When I have a lot, it's easy to turn loose of a little of that abundance that I have. But if I have very little, maybe it's more difficult to do that. Whether or not that plays out in reality, I don't know. But again, to use this as a literal teaching is stewardship by extortion, because stewardship just focused on putting money in that plate back there is a perversion. Stewardship means managing. Christian stewardship means how we manage our lives based upon how we really live out the values of our faith. And if we're going to do that, stewardship also means taking care of this planet. Wayne told me something that was really shocking last Sunday morning. The buoy off Battery Park, right?
Yep.
Registered 38?
38.
A 38-foot surge, wave. That's coming through the Verrazano Straits. You know, God knows what the waves were off the Jersey Shore and off of Staten Island. But then you told me something that was even more shocking. In the previous decades to the last one, the ocean level has been rising 1 inch. In the last decade, it rose 6 inches. Wayne knows what he's talking about. He's a meteorologist with the military, with the U.S. Navy. That shocked me more than the 38-foot wave, because 38-foot wave is a result of that. And if you go down to Battery Park and look down, you have, what, about 6 feet to the water. So we can see why New York was deluged and flooded. What can you do about that? What can I do about that? Perhaps we can listen to the scientists who have done the studies and said, we are having an impact. And if we are, each and every one of us individually, are having some kind of impact on the environment of this planet, are we going to spin this whole planet and not have anything left to live on? Or are we going to, through our Christian values, manage the way we live to try to reduce our impact on the environment? See, that's stewardship. That's how it works. And so the question for me and for you, it's a very simple question. What is my carbon footprint? And how can I reduce my carbon footprint? People make fun of the power-saving light bulbs and hybrid cars and things like that. But that is a form Christian stewardship. Now, that's on a global level. On a local level, how are we going to respond? How am I going to respond to all this destruction around here? What is our stewardship in the midst of this calamity? Not only to those in our own community, and I know there were many who had homes that still had power that were offering rooms, warm rooms and hot showers. That's Christian stewardship. What can we do to help those who were ravaged by this storm? How am I called to manage the crisis of this moment? Christian stewardship. And there is the offering plate. And that's one of the ways that St. Mary's, and I thank God for this parish. This is the first parish I've been in that dedicates so much of the operating budget to help others, to provide things like health care, to provide a shelter for women who have been battered in the home by domestic violence, to provide housing through a home for those who fall through the safety net. This community practices, as a whole, Christian stewardship. We live out our values. And I do believe that attracts a lot of people to our community because it gives us meaning. It gives us purpose. And that happens when we give to the offering plate, when we support the church. But that's not the only thing. If we just focused on those plates back there, we would be perverting what Christian stewardship is. See, it reaches globally, nationally, locally, individually. Not just the act of putting an envelope in the plate or signing up for a debit that goes out every month. It's how we live and engage our community, engage our world and environment, how we live, the values we share as Christians.